Welcome back to our Voices on Pacifica Radio, listener-sponsored, commercial-free KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, 89.5 FM in Galveston, and live broadcast on the internet at kpft.org. This is Saeed, producer and host of Arab Voices, along with my co-host Mark. We'll be talking about Katrina and the victims of Katrina for the next 30 minutes. We're going to be talking about that with a local group of Houstonian Muslims who are leading the efforts in assisting the victims. There have been so many activities and events scheduled. Some has already occurred over the past week or so. For example, at the Arab American Cultural and Community Center in Houston, held a fund drive collecting food and money for the victims of Katrina, as well as Palestinians for Peace and Democracy. They also held the event, co-sponsored it with the ACC this past weekend. This coming Friday, the American Lebanese National Movement is also collecting donations, and they have Mary's Restaurant as a drop-off location on Richmond Avenue. So the Arab community has been active in trying to assist and collect donations for the victims of Katrina. With me now live in the studio are three Muslims who are with various organizations, and I'm going to introduce them and start talking to them about the upcoming events and the efforts that are being made across the greater Houston area by the Muslim community to assist with the Katrina disaster and what they are doing with the efforts they are leading. With me first is Mr. Jim Coates. He is the public relations person for the Islamic Circle of North America. Jim, welcome to Arab Voices.
Thank you.
Also with me is Fatima Bhutan. She is with the Muslims of the Greater Houston. Welcome to the show, Fatima.
Thank you.
And Mr. Yusuf Saeb with the Islamic Relief. Welcome to the show. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Jim, tell us please about the efforts that the Islamic Circle of North America, or known as ICNA, is doing to assist with this tragedy.
Well, we immediately after the hurricane started, we started setting up command centers, mobile command centers in Baton Rouge and Alexandria, which is where people first started coming after the hurricane started coming in into New Orleans. More recently, we have a major influx of refugees coming into Houston. So right now we are focusing very hard on setting up a command structure, a command center here in Houston where we can hook up the refugees with FEMA, Social Security, and other governmental programs that would help them in the long run. Currently, we have our command center up at the Days Inn on the North Freeway. Right now, we're housing about 48 Muslim families. That's not just individuals; that's entire families of people, and also 35 non-Muslim families. Currently, we have $250,000 that we've allocated specifically for this purpose, and that's not funds that comes from FEMA or any governmental agency. That comes directly out of ICNA Relief's funds. So we're working very hard right now. We already have Baton Rouge and Alexandria set up. We're working very hard at getting Houston set up and up and running, and we want to take more of the refugees out of the Astrodome, which is very horrible conditions for people to live in, and not just Muslims, but also non-Muslims.
That is wonderful. That's very good. I know there are other activities scheduled, especially a big event coming up on September the 11th.
That's right.
Fatima, can you tell us about that, please?
Yes, actually, Syed, the mayor had a meeting with all of the faith-based organizations in Houston, and the Muslim community were invited. And on September 11th, the Muslims are requesting that they come out at least 1,200 on that day. We have 4 shifts available for Muslims to volunteer into. There's one 4 a.m. to 10 a.m., 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., and 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. the next day. And I am humbly requesting every Muslim to invite at least 10 other Muslims to attend this volunteer day.
Now, this is a huge operation, and I read the press release that was issued earlier. The plan is to provide 3 meals for everybody in the Astrodome on that day.
That's correct. The Muslim community was given this opportunity, and so they put up the money. I think it was about $124,000, and I do know that Islamic Relief did pay that money up front, and our community will channel their monies through Islamic Relief, and we will be providing the meals and all of the volunteer services for that day.
Now, what about the volunteerism? If you're requesting about 1,200 or so to volunteer for the day, what about training for them and preparing them for such an event?
Actually, Syed, we had 3 sets of training last weekend, and because the number has increased, it was 750 before, and now we need 1,200, and so the Red Cross have told us that the Muslims can come in on that day. They will have a debriefing before they actually go into the George Brown Center, and they can volunteer. So if you did not get the training, you can come in that day and get a debriefing before you go into the George R. Brown.
And I received this email just not too long ago. It says important announcement for the community. Let me just read part of it quickly. It says mandatory orientation forum for all community volunteers who recently got trained at the Second Baptist Church. It says we are all really proud of all Houstonian Muslim community to show up in large numbers for the training to serve our fellow citizens. And what they are doing this coming Friday, September 9 at 9 p.m., they are asking people to go there so they can update them and have more proper training for them. It says this training at the Pakistan Center located at 12638 Bissonnet at South Dairy Ashford on September 9th is mandatory for all volunteers, the ones who have been trained at the Second Baptist Church over the past weekend, as well as the ones who have not yet been trained. This is this coming Friday, September 9th at 9 p.m.
Yes, Saeed. We're encouraging everyone to get together just for a last-minute meeting so that when we get there at the George R. Brown, we're all prepared and we work efficiently and productively on that day.
I think this is really a huge effort. It's about 20 Muslim organizations that are taking part of that huge event.
Yes, I just want to say, Jazakallah khairan for all of the communities, all of the little organizations that have gotten together for this effort. It is a very unique situation for us, and I think, barring that it is September 11th, that the Muslims did come out, and they are highly encouraged and very supportive in this effort. And I just want to say, you go, Muslims.
Okay, let me now turn to another guest in the studio, and that's Yusuf Saib with the Islamic Relief. Yusuf, welcome to Arab Voices.
Yes, thank you, Saeed.
Can you update us, please, on your efforts as part of your organization with the Katrina disaster?
Right. Well, Islamic Relief is currently the largest Islamic charity in the United States. And we have a number of offices around the world, 30 offices, and several across the country. We don't have any in Houston. We have one in Dallas. But we came here in order to work with the local organizations to help with the Katrina relief. So instead of having our own activities, we found what was already being implemented and saw how we might be of assistance. And the first thing we did was commit $1 million to pay for the feeding program. That is on the 11th, as well as the subsequent 7 days.
Well, this is wonderful. So you're all actually coming from Dallas to assist the efforts in Houston.
Well, we have staff coming from Dallas as well as from California.
This is outstanding. $1 million allocated for that effort. Obviously, all kinds of donations are needed by everybody to assist the victims of Katrina. If somebody wants to donate money or food or whatever, where can they go or what can they do?
Well, if you wanted to donate money, there are a number of very good local organizations. ICNA Relief, for example, is one very good one. House of Charity is another good local organization. I don't mean to speak for one organization over another or prefer one over another, but my point is there are many good local organizations, and then of course Islamic Relief is helping here as well, that we can be found at irw.org. There's also the Islamic Society of Greater Houston and so on. But right now I'm actually very proud of all the different organizations that are actually regardless of money, are working very hard to find the evacuees, or displaced persons as they're now called, and find them a home and helping them find jobs. And that really does much more than any dollar amount that we provide can do.
Yes, I want to remind our listeners that we are taking your calls live. If you have any questions for any of our guests who are a group of local Muslims who are assisting with the efforts with the victims for Katrina. That phone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that's 713-526-KPFT. And my understanding is we are also joined now live over the phone with Mr. Isa Galloway, the Executive Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations here in Houston. Mr. Isa, welcome to Arab Voices.
Thank you so much for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Isa, what is the latest efforts by CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, in assisting with the Katrina catastrophe?
Well, there's a couple of things. Locally, we're working as a coordinating factor for the Muslim community's effort. Basically, we're collecting the information of all the communities, Houston Muslim communities' activities, and then basically encouraging coordination between the organizations that have similar projects, just to make it a little bit more efficient, a little bit more united. And at the national level, several organizations, including people in your studio, from Islamic Relief, ICNA, ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, and CARE, the Muslim American Society, and a whole bunch of other organizations, I think 120 now, have signed on. And they have pledged, as a national American Muslim front, $10 million to the Katrina relief effort. And they formed a task force together as a united community to make sure that this effort is a strong and effective effort from our community to help our fellow human beings.
And that $10 million is nationwide in humanitarian relief for the victims?
Right.
Okay.
And basically every organization has pledged a specific amount towards the $10 million total, and they're all now mobilizing the American Muslim community to help them fulfill that pledge.
That's very good news. Good to hear. Give us the website for your organization, because I believe earlier I noticed that you all listed most of the other organizations that are helping, as well as more detailed information about coming activities and events relating to this subject. What's the website for your organization?
Well, CARE's website in Houston is cairhouston.org. However, the most up-to-date information for the Muslim relief effort locally will be on a website called HoustonMuslimRelief.com. And we're actually gathering the newest information and updating the site tonight, as well as throughout the day tomorrow. And there will be a more up-to-date list of the activities locally from Houston Muslim on that site, HoustonMuslimRelief.com. So that would be the primary source of information for everyone as far as volunteer timing, new volunteer information, as well as getting information about where they can actually drop off canned goods, personal hygiene, and other information.
Okay, HoustonMuslimRelief.com is the website. Our phone board is lit up with callers. We have so many callers on hold right now who want to ask questions, and let's give them the opportunity to ask questions. Let's go ahead and take our first caller for the evening, and that would be Tabitha. Tabitha, you're on there.
Hi, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'm wondering if anybody has heard of the Islamic Education Center and some of the activities that the IEC has been doing for Katrina victims. There's been a few small fundraising activities within that masjid itself, and so I was wondering if anybody had heard of that.
Fatima?
Actually, the Islamic...
Could I actually answer that one? Because they're listed on our site.
Yes.
And there's brothers from the Islamic Education Center is in the task force locally that are very active and a huge asset to the relief effort in the community.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's basically what I wanted to know. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Tabitha, for your call.
Barakallahu feekum.
Okay. Let's take another caller, and that would be Majdaleen. Majdaleen, you're on there.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I turned on the radio kind of late, but I wanted to ask you, if you didn't volunteer early enough going to the Second Baptist Church and you show up on Friday, will that be a problem, or do you need to go somewhere before Friday so that you have a comprehensive training?
Actually, if you show up on that day, on September 11th, at one of the shifts, there will be some debriefing for you, and they'll give you the T-shirt, and you can go in and volunteer. So if you know of other people who would like to participate on that day, please let them go in on one of the shifts. You have 4 a.m. to 10 a.m., 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., and 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. And if they would go in, and there would be someone there from Red Cross to give some debriefing before you go in.
And if I may add, looking back at the information that I received, it does say, let me read it again, this training at the Pakistan Center on September 9th, this coming Friday, is mandatory for all volunteers, the ones who have been trained at the Second Baptist Church over the past weekend, as well as the ones who have not yet been trained. So I guess you can go there if it's the first time for you also.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your call, Ms. Daleen. Our next caller is an Anonymous. Anonymous, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. I have a short comment.
Go ahead, please.
I believe the main problem today in the world, not only in New Orleans or the Bible Belt, whatever, southern United States and in Middle East, but also around the world, is that the economic injustice, infrastructurally speaking, and the ignorance, superstructurally speaking. The economic injustice today comes from the world capitalism, United States at the top of it, which is depriving the working class of the people who are the majority in the world, unfortunately. And its historical partner, religion, is bringing ignorance to the people. So I believe instead of tearing crocodile and trying to give fish as a compassion to the hungry man, we have to teach them how to catch the fish, how to become strong and united, and revolt against these two channels of unprogressiveness and become powerful and independent for themselves. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your call. It is true there are other problems in the world out there, but dealing with the crisis at hand right now with a lot of people who lost their homes and work and families, and a lot of people don't know who's still alive and who's dead because of this tragedy. What can we do for the people who came here to Houston? I think that is the priority right now at hand. Brother Isa, are you still with us on the phone?
Absolutely, and my comment to that would be that, this is one of the beautiful things about religion and about universal teachings of goodness that the majority of the world's faiths all embrace, and that it encourages you by your faith to actually embrace your fellow man, no matter who they are, and do something that you can do for them. And to me, I would say religion, when it's practiced properly, is the uniting factor for mankind.
That's well said. Let's take another call, and that would be from Austin. Austin, you're on the air.
My name's Austin. I'm 23. I'm a skateboarder. First, I kind of got a comment about this whole thing. It kind of reminds me of a Kurt Russell movie, like Escape from L.A. Like, I just want to dress up like Snake Plissken and just go over there to New Orleans and duke it out.
With who?
The people that were shooting at the helicopter.
Oh.
And also, I have a solution for the whole cleanup over there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, please. We're listening.
My solution is everyone who can get there, get naked and start messing around.
Well, I don't know what that meant, but we're talking about a lot of serious issues here. How we can help the victims that are in Houston currently, and what is being scheduled, and what we can do about them. This is a very large catastrophe at hand we're dealing with, and unfortunately we still don't even know how serious this is. There are still a lot of people in Louisiana and New Orleans. These are human beings that a lot of people don't know if they are still alive or not alive, and so on. Let's take another call from another caller, and that is Ahmad. Ahmad, you're on the air.
Yes. This is the first time I'm listening to your program in about 4 or 5 months. And I am absolutely disenchanted with the whole program from the beginning, with this Arab gathering, whatever thing is that they want to do all of this, while the Arabs, and especially in Iraq, is under really brutality and U.S. aggression that's going on there on a daily basis. And now I think what I've listened this evening from the Islamic community, I would have to say these are some of the biggest munafiqeen I ever listened to. I mean, my email is even being jammed lately about this Katrina. And by the way, I am absolutely in total support of saving the lives of these people. But it is the hypocrisy of these Islamic groups, and on top of it is this CARE and some of the others that has been mentioned, an Islamic Society of Greater Houston, and all of that, and that all they're trying to do is show this humanitarian face. And I think they're a bunch of bigots, and they're not helping people like in Iraq who are being suffering there, and they're all silent. And whenever Afghanistan war was going on against the Russians, they were all supporting, that war. But as soon as U.S. government turned against them, is obviously all of these people, they tuck their tails between their hind legs and they go into hiding. And now they're all showing up. And I believe this CARE is misleading a lot of the Islamic community right here in town. And about time that the Muslims really speak against them because of their unholy activities that is going on in using the Islamic Center of Houston. And I appreciate it.
To answer you, Isa, did you hear the question from...
Yeah, I heard a majority of it. And basically, you can't please everyone. We try our very hardest to keep our intentions pure. And if you look at CARE and our activities, it's the premier pit bull organization out there fighting for Muslim rights. And so, basically, it's never going to be enough. We can't solve all the problems. And as 2% of the American society, we do what we can. And it takes really community support to strengthen us more than just kind of vicious attacks. So the brother's entitled to his opinion, and we will duly note that. And we take feedback from the community all the time.
Yusuf, did you want to add something there?
Yes, this is Yusuf from Islamic Relief, and I'm glad the brother was able to express his opinion that perhaps many or some people share, but I very strongly disagree. I would say that the Muslims here in Houston and around the country care very strongly about our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and Islamic Relief, for example, spends considerable amount of money in both. But at the same time, it is our duty as Muslims to be kind to our neighbors, whether they are Muslims or not. I don't think I'm going out on a limb saying that. And when people are in need nearby, in fact in our own city, it is also our duty to help them resettle and find jobs. So I don't feel that the local Muslims or the American Muslims or CARE is ignoring the issue of Iraq or Afghanistan. But we can't let this problem slide by while people are homeless in our very backyard. The neighbors have a right over us.
Okay, 713-526-5738 is the number. We're still getting several callers. Let's take our next call, and that would be Kay. Kay, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
Pretty good show. I just had a comment to make about the guy that was saying that he would like to go and get in the mix with the people that were shooting at the helicopters. I had the opportunity today. I was listening to a show to hear exactly what was going on from a person that actually survived the catastrophe and was over here. And they taped the comment and they gave an account of what was happening as it was happening. And at first, the helicopters and the National Guard were passing the people by, and so the people began shooting up in the air in the hope that they could draw attention to themselves from the helicopters. Now, when you get it into the media as like anything else with a minority group, it gets taken out of context what exactly happened, and it seems like anybody that has a dissenting opinion, whether it be Muslims, African Americans, or just people in need, if you dissent from any of the policies of the people that run the country, you will be covered just wrong, or people will not bother to get the whole story about things, which leads me to this point. I am glad that the Muslim community is actually coming together to assist with everything, is because they have a lot of support for their beliefs of what's going on in Afghanistan and Iraq, from the very community that is now devastated. A lot of people in that community was against a lot of the things that were going on in Afghanistan and Iraq, because we saw it as wrong. We saw it as something that was against God.
Yes.
However, these are the very same people that will not get any kind of help from the government. The government knew about it. I was watching C-SPAN, and they were reading where in July of 2004, the government had an exercise as if a Category 5 hurricane hit and damaged New Orleans.
I have only a few seconds left, so I want to...
Okay, but anyway, so that's my point.
Okay, well, we appreciate your call.
We need to stick together to be heard.
That's right. Thank you so much for your call. We appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, since we're nearing the top of the hour, let's see if we can take one more call, and that's Bonnie. Bonnie, you're on the air.
Hi. I'm really just calling because I didn't get to hear all of the show, but I heard a number of people calling with criticisms, and I just wanted to commend you on how wonderfully you listen to people, who may or may not even be voicing anything that sometimes isn't even appropriate to the subject. But you all are such generous listeners, and I appreciate that. I can see that there's just a respect that we don't always have anywhere, certainly not on radio shows. And that in itself is a reason for me to support your show.
Thank you, Bonnie, so much. We appreciate that.
Cut her off quickly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just kidding. Just kidding. No, we definitely appreciate all calls, and we welcome all opinions. As long as people are not rude, we'll let you stay on the air as time allows.
Thank you, Bonnie.
And I thank you for it.
All right. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Okay. We have only about 1 minute left. Let me just go around quickly, and if you all, each one of our guests, give just a 15-second kind of an update, last thought, if you may. Let me start with you, Jim Coates, with the public relations area with the Islamic Circle of North America.
Well, one last thought, Saeed, is that one thing that I do in a lot of outreach work, or that I hear, is we give you all of this aid for the tsunami, and we do this for you and we do that for you. What are you as a Muslim community giving back to us? And I think that this 9/11 program, this event that we have going on is an excellent opportunity for anybody who wants to get involved in the Muslim community to give back to the community, and I think that everybody should be a part of that.
Okay, and Yusuf Saib with Islamic Relief.
I agree, and I also want to remind the Muslim community here that this is a long-term project. This will not end on September 12th, that it will continue. I can encourage the Muslim community to continue to work with the rest of the American community to be of service to our neighbors.
All right, and Fatima Bhutan with Muslims of the Greater Houston?
There's no reason why we cannot pull together 1,200 Muslims for September 11th. There is no reason why we cannot come by, get together, get organized, and just do it. We're going out there, we're going out strong, and we're showing our ummah, one voice. Thank you.
And the last word from Isa Galloway, the Executive Director of CARE Houston.
I just wanted to comment one thing, that the September 11th date was a completely random occurrence, and you have Muslims from day one on the ground helping people, and inshallah we'll have them till the end of the time. And I would like to see this type of unity. It makes me so proud to be a Houston Muslim that we can continue on all the efforts that affect our community as a whole, especially the Islamic community.
And Aisa, you mentioned a website earlier for all the organizations. What is that again? HoustonMuslimRelief.com. All right. Many thanks to all the guests, the 4 guests here, and we appreciate your time very much, and good luck with all your efforts.
Thank you.
And we are out of time for this evening. This is Saeed, producer and host of Arab Voices. Many thanks to Charles for taking care of the Collins Center, and Mark for his assistance tonight. Until we meet next Wednesday, peace on earth.